I'm only telling you this because my friend made me swear. His name never touches a page, so call him nothing. Call him a ghost. That's closer to what he is now, a man with a green card. A steady job in Houston. He still sleeps with the lights on. He still flinches when a fork drops on tile. For half a second it sounds like something else. Something rhythmic. Something patient. He told me what happened in pieces. 3 nights. 3 bottles. I'm putting it together the only way I know how. In his voice. In first person. Not as something that happened to a stranger. As something that happened to me. We were 18 when we started. 18 people. $4,000 each. Paid to men who called themselves guides. Men who called the jungle a road. Men who called the crossing easy, like a walk. They took us 2 days in. 2 days of mud and river crossings. 2 days of believing someone older and stronger had a plan. Then on the 3rd morning I woke up. The guides were gone. Their packs were gone. The good machetes were gone. 18 of us stood in a clearing the size of a basketball court. A wall of green surrounded us. It did not end. It did not care. It had swallowed thousands before us. It would not notice 18 more. That's where it starts, not with a monster, with abandonment. The monster came later. People who haven't been there imagine jungle as loud. Birds, monkeys, a chorus of life. The Darien isn't that. The Darien is the quietest place I have ever stood in. That silence is the first thing that breaks you. The mud doesn't behave like mud should. It grabs the boot like wet cement. It wants to keep a piece of you every time you lift your foot. By the 2nd hour, your calves are screaming. You've gone maybe 400 meters. The heat sits on your chest like a hand. And underneath the heat, underneath the mud, there's an absence. No insects humming, no bird song. I kept waiting for it. The way you wait for your eyes to adjust to a dark room. It never came. Our guide had muttered something about it once before he abandoned us. Cuando no hay sonido, he said. When there's no sound, he didn't finish the sentence. He just walked faster. By the 4th day, I had a habit I couldn't shake, looking up. Not at the sky, you can't see sky in there. Just a tight ceiling of canopy 60 meters overhead. Vines knotted across it like a roof. Like something built it on purpose. I looked up because I had a certainty, body deep, that something moved through that canopy with us. Not beside us, above us, pacing us. I never saw a branch shift. I never saw a shadow cross. But I felt watched. The way you feel a stranger's eyes on the back of your neck in a crowded room. Except there was no crowd. There was no room. There were just trees, mud, and 17 other terrified people who'd stopped talking. Talking felt like an invitation. We found the clearing on the 6th day. I've turned this image over in my head 10,000 times. Trying to make it smaller than it was, it never gets smaller. The grass was the wrong color for 30 feet around. Black-red, soaked through. Stiffened patches where the sun had baked it. 6 bodies. Or what used to be 6 bodies. A jaguar doesn't do this. I've seen jaguar kills. Anyone near the Darien has. A jaguar kills clean. A bite to the skull or throat. A drag mark. A carcass pulled into brush, eaten in private over days. This wasn't private. This wasn't clean. This was display. Rib cages had been pried open, not gnawed through, like a man cracking a crate. Limbs weren't torn off the messy way an animal feeds. They'd been twisted from the socket, set down nearby, almost arranged, like a child laying out a toy it had taken apart to see how it worked. One body, a man, from the boots, was missing from the chest up entirely. His hands were locked into fists so tight the knuckles had split, like he'd died still fighting something that hadn't needed him to stop. And the faces, 2 were still intact. That brought no comfort. Frozen mid-scream, eyes wide open, jaws unhinged wider than a human jaw should open. Like whatever pulled the last sound out of them had reached down their throat to take it. Nobody spoke. A woman, I won't say her name, I promised, fell to her knees. She was sick, silently. No sound at all. Like even her body knew that sound was the thing that got you killed here. We didn't bury them, no shovels, no time. and if I'm honest, no courage to stay 1 second longer than it took to walk through. We left them where they lay. We did not look back. That was the moment the group stopped being 18 frightened travelers. We became 18 separate animals, each one quietly calculating how to survive the other's deaths. It started that same night. We made a line, single file, the only formation that made sense on the trail. A rope of bodies threading through brush, so thick you'd lose sight of the person two ahead. Around 2 a.m., a teenage boy near the back simply wasn't there anymore. No scream, no struggle sounds, no snapped branch loud enough to wake the man behind him. One moment, a person. The next, his flashlight, lying in the mud. Beam still on, rolling slightly back and forth, like it had been set down gently. We whispered his name. The whispers turned into voices we couldn't keep down. The jungle gave us nothing back. Not an echo, not a rustle. That was the first time I heard the clicking. It came from above, always from above. A rhythmic, mechanical sound, evenly spaced, like a tongue striking the roof of a mouth, like a clock built by something that had only heard a clock described to it once. Click, click, click. Not fast, not panicked, patient, almost satisfied. The way a man hums while he works. It moved through the canopy from our left to somewhere behind us. Then it stopped. The boy did not come back. We didn't look for him past first light. By then, 2 more were gone. A woman vanished between one step and the next. Her backpack stood upright against a tree root like she'd set it down to rest. A man who'd been arguing about direction minutes earlier left only one boot, laces still tied, sitting in the open like a piece of furniture. Every time the clicking came first. First, drifting through the leaves from a position we could never pinpoint. Every time it stopped, someone in our line had simply ceased to exist. We stopped counting heads out loud. Counting out loud meant noise. And noise, we'd learned by then, the only way you ever learn anything in that jungle, got you taken. 18 walked into that clearing 5 days earlier. 6 of us walked out the other side. 6 made it to a Panamanian border checkpoint. I won't list what happened to the other 12. Partly because I don't fully know. Partly because the not knowing is its own mercy. One I'm not willing to take back from myself. The last stretch we ran, not walked, ran, through mud that tried to keep our boots with every stride. Lungs tearing. Certain the clicking was closing the gap behind us, even when none of us could prove it was there. We didn't slow down until we saw the river marking the edge of the worst of it. Even then, we waded in clothed, packs and all. Staying on land 1 more minute felt like volunteering. He's in Texas now, he has papers. A bed that isn't mud. A roof that isn't canopy. A silence at night that should feel like peace. It doesn't. Some nights he wakes at exactly 2 a.m. Every time. Like his body kept the schedule even after his mind tried to forget it. He's convinced he hears a clicking sound outside his window. Evenly spaced, patient, satisfied. He told me he checks. He always checks. There's never anything there, he says. But he checks anyway. The alternative is worse than embarrassment. The alternative is wondering for the rest of his life what would happen the one time he didn't. He crossed the border. His body made it to the United States. But some part of him, the part that believed the world made sense, that animals killed for food and not for sport, that silence was just silence and not a held breath, that part never left. It's still standing in a black-red clearing in the Darien Gap, listening to something pace the canopy above, waiting to find out what it sounds like right before it stops.